Okay, good afternoon, everyone. We have Adam here. He's with Tejas Production. He's a welder within their company, and he will be speaking to us on behalf of what it was, what his career path took, any education that he acquired, and what is a day in life of a welder. Thank you so much, Adam. I appreciate you joining us. Do want to note that we will have any questions or comments in the Zoom chat box. So if you can please mute all lines and address your comments or concerns within the box. Thank you again for everyone joining us. Adam, the floor is yours.
How you doing? My name is Adam Garcia. I'm one of the lead welders here at Tejas Production. Some of my daily job steps would be basically when we get here every day, we do a safety meeting. We go over safety. Safety is very crucial here. We go over what our daily tasks going to be. Some of the job hazards in the working areas. We are a vessel company, so we will do a lot of heavy lifting. We work with a lot of heavy machinery. As far as safety, we go over everyone that could talk about safety. If you see something that's unsafe, you bring it up to the group, and we all talk about it as a group. When I started welding, I started as a beginner, as a helper. I went to school. I went to the Texas Vocational School here in Victoria. I went for 7 months, and then when I got out of welding school, I started working at a company. Started as a beginner, and I worked my way up all the way to lead man as of today. Let's see what we got. Like I said, we are a vessel company. We roll our vessels here. So as far as plate, we roll plate here. We weld the plate up. We run sub-arc machines here. And we also do hydro testing here. Some of the pay scales for a welder, beginner welder, could average from 15 to 16 to a class 1 welder, probably from 30 to top out at $30 an hour. The thing I like most about my job is I like receiving a pallet full of parts, a print, and then they let me know what I got to build, and then I build it from scratch, and then see the whole vessel completed. As far as, let's see what it says on here. As far as recently we had the COVID-19 situation here, or pretty much everywhere. It affected us with everyone. As far as our safety meetings, we had a very large safety meeting every morning. Now we had to separate our safety meetings. We had to separate our lunches, separate our breaks. Everyone's washing their hands better. No one's pretty much shaking hands anymore. I have a question here. It's asking about some of the PPE. Our PPE are starters is safety, steel toe boots, long sleeves, gloves, earplugs, and safety glasses. Does anyone have any more questions?
Okay, there's a question. It's like, are there any hazards in your work environment? If so,
Yes,
please explain.
yes. There's a lot of hazards here. Like I said, we are a vessel company. There's a lot of overhead hazards. We got overhead cranes. There's a lot of potential hazards from when we install these heads. They got a lot of pressure on them, so you could be walking by and you can hear a weld break, and you can have objects flying. Other hazards are when we're doing hydro testing. Some of these vessels, or some of these coils we do, we pressure them up to 1700 psi. So if you have a bad weld in there, or if you don't put 100% weld, if that weld were to crack or break, it'll cause eventually a rip in the weld. That's another hazard. We have hazards of chemicals. We also do a paint our vessels. Um, Fire hazard, of course, fire hazard because you're dealing with fire. You're cutting, you're grinding. You have an explosion hazard if you're new to this, and if you're grinding, you never grind towards your torch bottles. That's also an explosion hazard. I have another question. Ask me what helped me decide on my career. Um, right out of high school, I was I was actually a cook for high school, my whole high school career. I mean, for high school. So when I got out of high school, um, I was actually having a son at the time, and me making $7 an hour, I wasn't able to afford a child. So I looked into career options. I had a family member that was a welder that had recently passed, which got me looking into it. And I also enjoy working with my hands. So that's what got me into welding. It's a very good career. It's hot during the summer, but it's good during the winter.
Adam, I have a quick question here. It says,
Yes.
you mentioned rolling plates and working on vessels. What exactly is that? What does it entail, and where do these final products go?
Okay. Well, I'm rolling a vessel is a piece of basically it's a plate. We roll it. We roll it into a big old vessel is like a pipe. Okay, and then we put nozzles, which are flanges. We put collars, fittings, heads on it. I'll take a walk out here in a minute, and I'll show you what I'm talking about. And what they do, sometimes they'll go out in the field, and what they'll do is they'll separate the oil and water, so that way you can separate your oil and water when they're pumping it out of the well. And they do a whole bunch of other applications. But majority of what we're doing, they're separators. They'll separate the oil and water.
What about some of the soft skills that you need for your line of profession?
Uh, One of the main skills is math. You gotta be real good at math. Um, Very good at math because you deal with fractions all the time. Um, you when you look over your drawings, you got to you got to subtract fractions, add fractions, um, divide them when you're laying out your vessels. So you got to be real strong in math and science. Reading too. Reading, you got to be able to read a blueprint. I don't know if they teach that in school, reading blueprints, but in the field you'll learn that there. Any more questions,
Oh, oh,
ma'am?
I think it's just the one that we just addressed. It says,
Yes, the one in the yes.
the next one says, what are some common career paths within this field?
As far as welding,
Yes, I'm guessing yes, sir.
yes, you could start as a helper. You can move up to a welder. From a welder, I moved up to a lead. Then you can move up to supervisor, management, to manage the whole shop. Some of the career paths there. As far as owning the shop, no, I don't think so. But um, I mean, you can move up to management. What is the best? Another question is, what is the best and worst part of being a welder? I would say the best part is seeing something that you built, knowing what you put, the work that you put into it, and seeing that finished product go out the door, knowing you did a good job. And I would say the worst part of it is probably getting burned. Whether you wear long sleeves or gloves, you're welding, you're working with hot metal, hot material, you do get burned occasionally. And probably those are the worst things. It's just being burned. What was the other question? Have you ever burned your eyes? Yes, I burned my eyes plenty of times. I burned my eyes. Flash burn when you're welding. There's sometimes we're working on a job and we got to have more than one welder. So we have 4 welders. As soon as you pick your hood up, if that welder's still welding, you get flash burn from him. You do that enough throughout the day, you're gonna go home, your eyes are burning.
There was another question that was typed out. It says, what advice would you give someone who is considering this type of job or field?
Um, what advice would I give is to um, be prepared to sweat, be prepared to work in the heat. It's not a office job. You work with, you're sweating pretty much all day, whether it's cold or hot. It's it's a hot job that you got to do. Sometimes it's stressful. Um, that's pretty much what I would
And
advise I would give.
another one here, it says, you mentioned vessels. Do y'all do confined space entry? If so, what would you advise to someone who is claustrophobic?
Yes, we do confined space. All the vessels that we do, they have internals, which are parts that go inside of the vessels. And as far as someone that's claustrophobic, if that person lets us know that they're claustrophobic, we will not send them inside the vessel. We'll find somebody that is able to go into that vessel and work on that vessel. There's no reason to send someone inside of a vessel knowing they're claustrophobic, and that puts them at risk, and it puts someone else at risk that has to go rescue that person.
Another question, 2 questions. What's your schedule like? And do you have to relocate for your current position?
My schedule is I get up at 4:30, come to work at 5. I leave in the afternoon about 7 o'clock in the evening. Um, as far as this job here, I actually live in Victoria, and this shop's in Victoria, so no, I haven't had to relocate. Um, it all depends. There's a lot of welding jobs out there. If you're willing to make more money and you want to chase the money, yes, you will have to relocate, or you will have to drive to a better paying job. But that's all up to you if you can't find a job in your work area. Another question is your job year round or temporary? Our job, we stay open year round. The oil field is always up and down. So it's not really a guarantee if you're going to have a job today or tomorrow. It all depends on the oil field. Um, but if you stay hard at your job, but as with this company, they see the work that you do. Even when the oil field is down, they will keep you. There's always stuff that we're building. There's always jobs that we got to do. But as far as the the manpower that we need, we always would downsize. If we got 30 people working, we'll downsize to 15. But if you're one of those good 15, then you wouldn't have to worry about your job. Any more? So another question is, what can impact your employment? See, it says weather or epidemic. We were lucky to stay open during the Oh, such as being late. Yes. We're lucky to stay open during the COVID-19 crisis. I guess we're a shop, so all the work that we do is in the shop. So whether there's raining, snowing, whatever it is outside, we're working in shop, so we're good. The only if the power cuts out, we can't work. Um, as far as being laid off, like I said, like I was saying earlier, if if we got 30 people working and we need to downsize to 15, well then if you're not one of those ones that shows up every day on time, puts all your effort into your work, does quality work, well then of course you'll be one of the ones that will be laid off. And then another question, what was the last question?
It says, what people skills are needed for a welder? Do you usually work with a team or by yourself?
As far as people skills will be good communication, um, good safety. Me, I'm one of the leads, so I pretty much work with everyone. If anybody needs help with anything on their vessel, but other than that, we do have some of the larger vessels we're building that they do require two people to work on it together. But a majority of the vessels that we're building are one person. You work just one person. You get a pallet of parts, and that's just for you. And you put it together, you weld it, and it'll just be you on that one job. You work next to someone, but they're in their own workstation. Any more questions?
There's none at this time. If you're
Okay.
wanting to go out into the shop, we'll pause and wait for you to relocate out there.
Okay. Let me figure out how to flip the camera around so we can do that. We're working on. Try to see if I can show it in the video. It's gonna be hard for me to hear y'all. They got the music up, so y'all can't even. If y'all have any questions, just write them on there, and I'll try to read them out. But this is one of the vessels that we're working on. This is actually a vertical vessel. It stands up. It stands upright when they're completed with it. We also build skids. This is one of the skids that we're building here. This skid actually, you gotta, that's why I say you gotta know math real good, because you gotta know where all these beams go. That shows the skid there. It actually holds that tower that I was just showed a picture of. It actually holds it on top of that skid. I'm gonna show y'all the vessels that we build, which someone had a question about confined space. So this is a vessel here. As you see, this is a team working right there. But the inside, I don't know how good you can see, but that would be considered confined space. You just got to go in there, install that, and then weld all that out. This starts off as a piece of plate, and then we put all the nozzles on it, all the flanges, which you see here. That's a manway. That's where you enter the vessel when they're completed. They're getting ready to install. These are called the heads. Those go on the end. We have another gentleman here. He's doing a rollout weld. The machine there, just it's a foot pedal. And you just roll out weld. I'll show y'all the machines that we do to roll a plate. These are one of the vessels that this is the largest vessel that we're actually working on here. You know how good y'all can see it. 55-foot long. It's what, when it goes in the pipeline, separates the oil from the water before it reaches the power plant. All right. We have this machine here. It's called a burn table. This is where we cut all our parts out, all our plate, everything that we need for the vessels. When we cut these plates, I don't know if you can see this plate here. So once we cut the plate here, that piece of plate would turn into a vessel. Roll on these machines here, and it rolls it into a pipe, which is considered a vessel. This is a finished product of one before we lay out any holes in it. And then they got to weld the seam up with sub art. See how good I can see that. I'm sure you can see it good. And when I say sub art, that's these machines here. These machines here, they run a long horizontal weld. All by machine, one person operates it. It just goes back and forth. Does anyone have any questions?
Adam, there was a question. Are you able to hear?
This is one of the other vessels as far as the internals, which would be considered confined space. All the pipes, pipe supports, all the brackets that we got to install. We roll it out. As far as see how good you can see this. Kind of hard to see. Gentleman works inside the vessel there, installing 100 plus internal support. That's another one of the towers. We got two side by side. These are some of the collars, the flanges that we got to install. And we got to weld. You got to have 100% weld on these. They X-ray, so you see the welds. As you can see, pretty much everyone, this is one workstation. Everyone works, one person. You love that big stuff. You see this gentleman welding here. All position. The machine in the background rolls it, stays in one spot, just welds. And as far as I mentioned, we have hydro testing. We also have assembly. Once we're done with the vessels, it's just we have an assembly department that puts all the extra parts on them, which are the gauges, the flow meters. This is what they install here. This is a finished product. Let's see if I can get out a picture. one of the ones that we do. And install everything there. That way it's ready to ship to the customer. That's a finished product there. All right.
Adam, were you able to see that question that popped?
No, I wasn't able to see any questions. I guess
Okay.
slow out there. I'm sorry.
Okay, it's all right. It's if a person is hired with Tejas, what tools would they need, or does Tejas provide all equipment and tools within their workstation?
Basic tools you would need are just your welding hood, and then your safety PPE as far as your work boots. Tejas, if you've seen the workstations, Tejas supplies all the tools that you're going to need for the job.
What about education or training certifications? Do y'all do that there, or do y'all send someone to school?
As far as that, I think you come in. When you come in, you start off with you start off knowing. Like me, I went to vocational school, and I came in like that. As far as us sending you, no, I don't think we don't send anybody to school. Not at this time.
Could they come in as a shop helper or a shop hand and work their way up?
Yes. Yes, you can. We don't really hire too many helpers, but if we hire you as a helper, you can work your way up as to a welder. As long as you show initiative that you really want to, that you want to learn to weld, we'll be willing to show you how to weld. Or fit, grind, fabricate, or roll the vessels, some of the vessels.
Do any of your employees need to go to training at the Safety Council?
No. No, all the safety training that we require are done here with our safety man here.
That's all the questions I have on my end. I don't know if
Okay.
anyone else has any questions or concerns. Please feel free to address them at this time.
Hey, Kara, how would I see the questions? Yes, because it stops.
There's nothing just yet.
Oh, there's nothing? Okay.
No, sir. But if folks do have any questions, they can feel free to email me and I could relay them to you all. Yes, thanks again, Adam, and to Tejas for taking time out of y'all's schedule, taking on that shop tour. We appreciate it. Like I said, we will post this video for later viewing purposes. And if anyone has any questions or concerns, we will relay them back to you. You all stay safe, stay healthy, and we appreciate everything.
All right, thank you.